Excellencies, ministers, ambassadors, distinguished guests, friends of the press, dear colleagues, good morning and a very warm welcome to this 9th edition of Investour, a tourism investment business forum jointly organized by UNWTO, IFEMA, and Casa África. I am Elcia Grandcourt. I'm the director for the Africa program at the UNWTO, and as every year, I have the great pleasure of being your master of ceremony for this very rich program that we have for today. The 9th edition of Investour is a momentous occasion, as it is not only the first time that our Secretary General is in Fitur, but also the first time that he will be addressing our region as Secretary General. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Spanish and African welcome to our Secretary General, Mr. Zurab Pololikashvili. I must say that I'm as excited as you are at the level of participation of Investour, which keeps on increasing with every edition. Each year, our event grows both in terms of attendees and in impact. The future of global tourism and travel and tourism is Africa. Your commitment to Investour is a firm statement of this tourism. We are so grateful for the participants that has remained faithful over the years, and we thank you for the trust and confidence, as it is very heartwarming to see so many familiar faces in the room here with us today. For those joining us for the first time, we welcome you, and we trust that you will find this forum very useful and also the opportunity to make new contacts and friends. We also acknowledge the huge presence of our tourism ministers from Africa. Thank you for being here with us. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome Honorable Najib Balala, the Minister of Tourism of Kenya, who is now the chairman of the Commission of the Africa Program. Excellency, we are very excited to have a great leader like you to support us in driving the agenda and in delivering the program of work for our region. Your vision, your determination, and proven expertise will act as a powerful support and advancement of our region, working together. Investour's success hugely depends on support and partnerships. This year, we have received the support of Haworth HTL as a gold sponsor, and Infecar and Quantum Solutions Emerging Markets as silver sponsors, and to whom we express our sincere thanks and appreciation. I would also like to acknowledge our partners, the Shimlong Group, China Invest Overseas, Ethiopian Airline, and EB's Africa Review for their support. And I'd like also to share here with you that only yesterday, our Secretary General signed a memorandum of understanding with EB's Africa Review, who is a Spanish company that is promoting Africa to the African market. Ladies and gentlemen, UNWTO recently released 2017 international tourist arrivals. The results are truly remarkable. Africa grew at an estimated 8%. The region reached a record 62 million international arrivals. This positive growth sends a strong message of confidence not only to the holidaymakers, but also to investors looking to invest in our region. The investment climate in Africa over the last decade has improved significantly in the ease of doing business to establishing online systems, right through to the creation of one-stop shops for providing business lifecycle services. Investour essentially is the space that has been created with the aim of bringing the private sector companies and the African tourism authorities together to discuss and promote the vibrant investment and commercial climate that currently prevails in the continent. Through our roundtable panel discussions today, we are able to bring to the fore specific topical issues that both public and private sector tourism stakeholders deem relevant each year for us to debate and explore about. Together, we engage in robust discussions to not only unlock opportunities, but also to break down barriers. As a quick overview of the day, we will start with the inaugural speeches. This will be followed by a presentation from Nigeria, who will be the host of the 61st UNWTO Commission for Africa that will be hosted from the 4th to the 6th of June. And at this juncture, I invite you all to block these dates in your agendas so that we can all go together to Abuja and Nigeria for the Commission of Africa. And afterwards, we will immediately be witnessing the signature of the agreement between the Secretary General as well as Nigeria for the hosting of the Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the great challenges we face together is how the world views Africa. We are all aware of the negative stereotypes and perceptions that our continent sadly is much too often referred to. There are many forces of influence that works against us, and we often blame the media for reinforcing a negative narrative. Recent statement by head of state caused people across Africa to stand up in deserved protest. The fact remains, however, that we must work towards redefining and shifting the narrative. We must tell our story as individual African nations and as one Africa. This is one of the priorities of the Commission of Africa. A short presentation on the topic will be presented to help set the tone for the first roundtable discussion this morning on Brand Africa, fostering tourism development and investment opportunities. The Shimlong Group, a Chinese company and valued partner with us in Investour, has during the past year presented several countries in West and Central Africa with opportunities of advancing the biodiversity agenda through several capacity building workshops. As such, again, to help set the tone for the second panel discussion, we will have a short presentation on the initiatives that has been undertaken and immediately followed by the panel discussion on biodiversity as a driver of sustainable tourism, the importance of effective community involvement. And the second part of the program, as we normally know, will be dedicated to the business-to-business sessions. So with this, I will start by inviting our first speaker for this morning, Mr. Eduardo López-Puertas, Director General of IFEMA, for his welcome remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, dear ministers, Secretary of State, Secretary General, authorities, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to address all of you here at the opening of the 10th Investour Tourism Investment and Business Forum for Africa, which we are again pleased to host within the framework of the International Tourism Trade Fair, as an essential plan of the program of professional meetings that will take place over the next 3 days, and which has consolidated its position as the best mechanism for supporting and boosting tourism development across the continent of Africa. FITUR is, without a doubt, the benchmark for trade fairs for African markets. The increasing institutional representation that this forum draws every year attests to the effectiveness of this initiative, promoted by FITUR in partnership with UNWTO and Casa África, as a lever for the internationalization and development of tourist destinations on the continent. As you will have seen, the opportunities offered by Africa each year gain increasing weight within the framework of Fitur. And this is largely due to the impact of Investour, which has not only helped to consolidate the presence of African nations, but has also served as a stimulus for the growing adherence of new official representation, such as that of Equatorial Guinea, and new additions such as São Tomé and Príncipe. In this regard, I would like to underline our conviction that Fitur offers Africa an increasingly important promotion and business forum through which to develop its interests in the tourist industry. This is evident from the progress over recent years in the range of institutionally promoted tourist opportunities, whose main value lies in the natural resources that currently account for 80% of tourist reservations on the African continent. And this, specifically, is one of the critical aspects for tourism development in Africa, which will be addressed throughout the morning, with an emphasis on sustainability and joint responsibility in the protection and conservation of biodiversity as the most significant resource and means of income and tourist development. We will also analyze the importance of the destination's brand identity, a key value as a promotional mechanism to which showcases such as Fitur can lend solid support. We are sure that the trade fair will be essential to the strategic and business goals that the tourism ministers here today are promoting in each of their countries. We must not forget that Fitur is one of the most important trade fairs in the world, where more than 10,000 companies from 165 countries will receive the visit of more than 250,000 participants, generating significant activity and numerous professional and business opportunities. This is certainly a privileged framework within which to hold Investour Africa and to realize the commitment of IFEMA Fitur together with UNWTO and Casa África, working together to make tourism an effective tool for the development of countries and regions needing greater impetus and serving as a stimulus to awaken the interest of Spanish and European employers in understanding projects, making investments, and using their experience to help the continent make progress. Year after year, Investour's figures attest to the opportunities offered by this cooperation program. This year, we will welcome 404 participants from 42 countries, bringing together the highest level of institutional representation through the attendance of 28 tourism ministers and heads of delegations who are here today for this opening ceremony. At the same time, there will be individual business meetings in which we know that 62 tourism investment projects from 19 African countries will be presented. Of course, our desire as organizers is that both those presenting investments proposals and the employers interested in them identify the ideal partnership opportunities that this year has to offer. We trust that Investour will continue to be an effective mechanism for coordinating and supporting economic growth and job creation in the region. I sincerely hope that both employers and representatives of the various African destinations achieve the desired outcomes from their participation in Investour, and that many projects will see the light of the day. Thank you very much for your attendance and welcome to Fitur. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. López-Puertas. I now invite Luis Padrón, who is the Director General of Casa África, to address us.
Señor Secretario General de la Organización Mundial del Turismo, Ministro de Turismo de países africanos, Secretario de Estado de Asuntos Exteriores, embajadores y embajadoras de países africanos, distinguidas autoridades, empresarios, profesionales, amigos, a todos muy buenos días. Y sean todos bienvenidos a la 9ª edición de Investour. Permítanme, en primer lugar, saludar al nuevo secretario general de la Organización Mundial del Turismo, el señor Zurab Pololikashvili. Sé bien que va a ser uno de los elementos centrales de su recorrido el trabajar mucho por el reforzamiento del turismo en el continente africano. Es un placer tenerle entre nosotros y le deseamos la mejor y mejor suerte del mundo en su gestión al frente de la OMT, organismo con el que Casa África ha forjado una excelente relación. Para Casa África y para nuestro país es un honor formar parte de la organización de un evento que sin duda ya constituye una referencia global en el turismo africano. Cuando empezamos esta iniciativa nos mostrábamos felices de haber creado un punto de encuentro para África en esta feria internacional, en la que la presencia del continente en aquel momento era bastante limitada. Hoy, 9 ediciones más tarde, la consolidación del evento es un hecho y una referencia. En esta edición tenemos el honor de compartir conocimientos y experiencias con más de 25 ministros africanos, los máximos responsables de la política turística de nada más y nada menos que la mitad de los países del continente, pero donde están presentes todas las grandes economías africanas. Yo creo que no hay evento que logre este poder de convocatoria alrededor del turismo en África. Y para nosotros es un auténtico orgullo. Primero, por ser parte de ello. Y segundo, porque este encuentro se celebra en España, un país al que su sector turístico lo ha convertido en referencia mundial. Hoy día Investour es un reclamo y un modelo para cualquier feria turística que tenga que ver con el sector turístico africano. Investour nació como espacio de encuentro donde los proyectos africanos, las ideas y las nuevas políticas pudieran ser presentadas por los dirigentes turísticos ante el sector empresarial español. La consolidación de este encuentro, el entusiasta apoyo de los países africanos y el interés por asistir desde otras regiones del mundo lo ha convertido desde hace varios años en un encuentro abierto a cualquier país, institución o empresa del mundo que esté interesada en saber de forma directa cómo se mueve y cuáles son las oportunidades del sector turístico africano. Ver año a año este salón abarrotado, ver cómo en cada edición superamos a la anterior, evidencia que el turismo tiene un potencial ilimitado en el continente. Como sabrán, Casa África es una institución de la diplomacia pública del Ministerio de Asuntos Exteriores y Cooperación de España, que bajo la forma jurídica de un consorcio participan también en él el Gobierno de Canarias y el Ayuntamiento de Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, donde Casa África tiene su sede. El año pasado celebramos ya 10 años y se han realizado más de 2.000 actividades que refuerzan una actuación muy potente en la creación de redes entre España y África. Investour quizás sea el ejemplo más claro y perfecto de lo que constituye nuestra esencia creadora de redes. Ser, en definitiva, facilitadores, disponer los espacios para que nos encontremos y de ahí surjan iniciativas y proyectos de inversión para ambas partes. ¿Y de Investour qué sale? Pues sale sobre todo redes, salen sobre todo proyectos de win-win para la parte africana y para la parte española. Pero también sale entusiasmo por constatar que año a año nos damos la razón los que hablamos en términos optimistas del continente, los que tenemos muy claro que a diario están pasando muchísimas más cosas positivas que negativas. Y eso nos lleva a la marca África, un concepto con el que llevamos un tiempo trabajando codo a codo con la Organización Mundial del Turismo. Pero creo que en este discurso todos coinciden en que todavía queda mucho camino por recorrer. Todavía tenemos grandes retos para reforzar el crecimiento del turismo del continente africano. Creo que es necesario, y todos compartimos que es necesario, mejorar la política de visados. Hay que mejorar las conexiones intraafricanas, que son escasas y muy caras. Hay que replicar casos de éxito de un país a otro. Hay que intentar frenar el afán recaudatorio que sobre este sector están empezando a pesar en algunas economías. Hay que incentivar y fomentar la inversión turística y promover auténticas líneas de financiación en países de renta y media baja. Aspiramos, como Casa África, a seguir siendo un interlocutor válido y eficaz entre las estrategias africanas de activación y modernización turística y la empresa española, líder mundial en el sector hotelero y vacacional. Sector este que, junto a la construcción y gestión de infraestructuras y las energías renovables, constituyen un ejemplo de éxito de la empresa española. Tenemos por delante una nueva edición de Investour. Espero y confío que las conferencias de la mañana, así como las sesiones de la tarde, sean de provecho e interés para todos ustedes. Muchísimas gracias a todos, gracias a FITUR, gracias a la OMT por colaborar con nosotros en hacer de este evento la gran referencia del turismo africano. Buenos días.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you for these very encouraging words. I now have the pleasure to invite Mr. Ildefonso Castro, the Secretary of State of Foreign Affairs of Spain.
Buenos días. Señor Secretario General de la OMT, señores ministros, señor Presidente Ejecutivo de IFEMA, directora de Casa Asia, embajadores, señoras y señores. Quería, además de mencionar a las autoridades e instituciones que han apoyado esto, quería hacer una breve referencia a todos ellos. En primer lugar, quiero felicitar al nuevo Secretario General de la OMT. La OMT y España es un idilio que dura y va a durar muchos años. No solo le deseo suerte, sé que lo va a hacer muy bien, va a tener todo el apoyo de España, como lo ha tenido antes. Es un buen amigo de nuestro país y estoy seguro que nos beneficiará a todos los miembros de la OMT. Señores ministros, muchas gracias por asistir en tan, decía la maestra de ceremonias, huge attendance. Realmente sí, me decían que eran 28. Muchas gracias por venir, estoy seguro que no se arrepentirán y que el año que viene habrá más. Presidente Ejecutivo de IFEMA, gracias por hacer posible esto. Esto es una cosa magnífica. Yo confieso que vivo cerca de aquí y me causa ciertos problemas de transporte el mes de enero, porque la actividad de la feria afecta un poco al tráfico de la zona. Un año más nos encontramos en este foro, que celebra su 9ª edición, y en el que reflexionamos sobre el papel y las oportunidades que el turismo representa para África y para España también. Como mis predecesores, no he querido perderme una cita que pone el acento en uno de los ámbitos donde más estrechamente podemos colaborar. Como bien saben, España es un país con recursos naturales relativamente escasos, especialmente en el tema energético. Quiero hacerles una pequeña comparación como juego. Y sin embargo, hemos logrado convertir el turismo en nuestro petróleo particular. Si tomamos, por ejemplo, a Nigeria, gran país africano, su industria petrolera, dependiendo de los años, pero digamos que llega al 10% el petróleo en su PIB y genera alrededor del 1% del empleo. Para España, el turismo, si los números que he mandado son correctos, hemos alcanzado 11,5% de nuestro PIB y el sector crea el 13% del empleo. En 2017, como todos ustedes sabrán, son cifras recientes, hemos recibido 82 millones de turistas. Somos el segundo destino en el mundo. ¿Pueden ustedes imaginar lo que significa para la economía de este país, especialmente de ciertas partes de nuestro país? Pero también el turismo, históricamente, ha tenido una función social, incluso política, me atrevería a decir, de abrir las mentes de la gente, ¿no? En gran medida, la transición a la democracia española, uno de los factores fue el crecimiento turístico previo, desde el punto de vista económico, pero también desde el punto de vista social. El turismo puede tener ese papel transformador y creador de empleo también en África. El potencial turístico del continente es inmenso. Sus paisajes, su fauna, sus culturas y sobre todo sus gentes. Yo he pasado parte de mi carrera profesional en África y sé lo que digo. Sin embargo, su conversión en una verdadera industria que genere crecimiento y empleo no es fácil. El turismo, en definitiva, es que personas elijan libremente un destino sobre otro, gastar su dinero en un sitio o en otro. Y solo llega si existe un entorno adecuado y el producto ofrecido es mejor que el resto, porque es un sector, como todo, muy competitivo. Para ello, África, los países africanos, tienen que invertir en infraestructura física, jurídica, es decir, tienen que mejorar su transporte y sus comunicaciones, y en crear un clima de negocios propicio que atraiga inversiones. También es necesario generar una imagen positiva en los mercados de origen, haciendo de África un destino atractivo para los viajeros y también para las empresas. Y, evidentemente, un reto importante es la seguridad física de los turistas. Para potenciar esta imagen atractiva del continente africano, intentamos contribuir desde España, desde instituciones como Casa África, Fitur, a las que agradezco junto a la Organización Mundial del Turismo la organización de este foro. Los destinos de España y África están ligados y nuestra experiencia puede ser, modestamente, de utilidad para los países africanos, no solo por nuestros aciertos, sino también por nuestros errores. Por ello, queremos poner en práctica un nuevo enfoque hacia África, basado en la inversión y la presencia empresarial como motores del crecimiento. Creemos que es clave complementar los medios clásicos de cooperación con iniciativas privadas que generen empleo y riqueza. España quiere invertir en el turismo africano. De hecho, muchas de nuestras empresas ya están presentes en muchos de sus países. Con su experiencia y los evidentes atractivos del continente, podemos dar lugar a una asociación que genere, una vez más, empleo, riqueza, progreso, estabilidad. Para ello debemos aprovechar los nuevos instrumentos existentes, como el Plan de Inversión Exterior de la Unión Europea, y beneficiarnos ambos del crecimiento que acompañará a estas inversiones. Pero el turismo tiene otras cualidades, como decía antes. Más allá de su capacidad para generar riqueza y empleo, el turismo nos permite conocernos unos a otros. Así lo han reconocido Naciones Unidas, que ven en el turismo, como es lógico, un elemento que contribuye a la paz y también como motor fundamental de un desarrollo sostenible e inclusivo. El turismo ayuda a la apertura de mentes y a la superación de prejuicios, que lamentablemente aún existen cuando hablamos de muchas cosas, entre otras cosas, de África. Todos debemos aprovechar ese auge. África puede y debe hacerlo muy especialmente. Pocas oportunidades semejantes tendrá el continente para mostrar al mundo su riqueza y para acercarse a las sociedades extranjeras desmontando tópicos y tejiendo afectos. Permítanme terminar recordando a uno de los primeros viajeros europeos por África, el granadino Hassan bin Muhammad, más conocido como León el Africano, que en 1521 escribió su descripción de África y de las cosas notables que ahí hay. Entonces eran muy escasos los europeos que se aventuraban por aquellas tierras ignotas y además lo hacían en condiciones precarias. Hoy en día los turistas que se acercan a descubrir África se cuentan por millones y proceden de todas partes del mundo. Ese renovado interés por el continente y el flujo constante de turistas supone una gran oportunidad para la creación de empleo, el desarrollo de infraestructuras, la inversión, el crecimiento y también el conocimiento de África. Les garantizo que pueden contar con España como socio para convertir esa oportunidad en una realidad. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Castro. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wait for the Secretary of State of Tourism of Spain to join us, as she's still tied up in another commitment this morning, I now have the pleasure to invite our Secretary General, Mr. Zurab Pololikashvili, to launch open this forum.
Good morning. I'm really impressed, and I think we have one of the most important African events in the world, and especially in tourism sector. And I'm sure that for next year we need much bigger room to organize this wonderful meeting. The hall is full, and first of all, I want to thank you very, very much, because I know that you came from very far from Spain, but today we are together, and it's my pleasure. It's really honor, and I'm really very happy to have many, many African friends with me today on this very important day for us and for organization and for the Africa. Thank you to be with us, and again, I want to mention it that you came from far, but we are very close today, and I'm sure that we have a lot of things to do together, and thank you again. I want to thank to our excellent hosts and organizers of FITUR, Mr. Eduardo López-Puertas, director general IFEMA, Mr. Luis Padrón, general director of Casa África. Casa, you know, it's a house, and you have your house in Madrid, and this is another confirmation that Africa is more than welcome in Spain, more than welcome in Europe, and more than welcome for the organization. His Excellency, Mr. Ildefonso Castro, Secretary of State of Foreign Affairs. We worked with Don Ildefonso last 5 or 6 years, and be sure that you are in the right hand. He has an excellent knowledge about continent. He's an excellent professional, and thank you to be with us, dear. I'm really lucky that I'm starting with the Honorable Minister from Kenya, with my very good friend, Najib Balala, and it's a pleasure to start this first Investour. This is first Investour for me. By the way, I'm first time at that kind of event, and it's a pleasure. Good morning and welcome to everybody again to the 9th edition of Investour. I'm sorry that I cannot thank you individually, but I want to say that it is a great pleasure to welcome you at my first Investour. The high level of attendance of ministers to this 9th edition is a testimony of the importance of momentum carried by the tourism sector in Africa and driver for inclusive growth. I also want to thank our sponsors, our gold sponsor, Horwath HTL, as well as the silver sponsors represented by Infegar and Quantium Solutions, emerging markets. Your contribution towards this event is highly appreciated. Dear ministers, dear friends, last year international tourist arrivals in Africa grew by around 8% for the second consecutive year, with 62 million arrivals registered for 2017. I'm sure that these figures will grow in the next 10 years, and Africa is the future of the tourism, and Africa is the future of the sector. And these strong results show the potential of tourism in the continent. They are a proof that today many African countries are prioritizing tourism in their development agendas, improving the business climate for tourism, and encouraging investment in infrastructure and hospitality. I had an opportunity, and still in these days we have bilateral meetings, and the main priority and top one priority for me is to be closer to the member states and to know the needs, what the countries need from the organization, to identify with them what is our agenda for the next years. And I'm sure that nobody knows better than you, dear ministers, dear representatives, dear ambassadors. I see a lot of my ex-colleagues here in this hall, my friends. Nobody knows better the things we have to plan and together in the next years. So I will be very close. Organization will be close as never, and I'm sure that we will reach very interesting and very positive results working together. Investour is a platform for debating policies, strategies and initiatives that foster tourism in Africa. Each edition of Investour has looked into key issues affecting our sector in Africa. Today we'll focus on two highly relevant themes. The one is Brand Africa, fostering tourism development and investment opportunities. Even though tourism is one of Africa's most promising sector, its development is often affected by negative perceptions. These perceptions are not deserved, and they lead to inaccurate and damaging stereotypes. Stereotypes that harm the continent's tourism sector and its potential to provide economic development. UNWTO and Casa África are working together to better understand the challenges of Brand of Africa. The second is biodiversity as a driver for sustainable tourism, the importance of effective community involvement. However, to ensure the conservation of such rich biodiversity, we need to work together to fight poaching and unsustainable use of wildlife. If we are to succeed, communities must be included in the discussions and decisions being made on conservation. Ladies and gentlemen, international tourism moves over 1.3 billion people every year. It contributes to economies, enrich societies and impact lives. Tourism can be a pillar of Africa's structural transformation and socioeconomic reform. It can be an essential tool for Africa to reach the Sustainable Development Goals and the objectives set in the Africa Union Agenda 2063. For that, we must be closer and stronger together. We need to ensure innovative ways of financing. We need to foster collaboration with the private sector along the value chain and support small and medium enterprises. We need to promote the sustainable management of resources, and we need to show the world all the good news coming out of Africa. If we do so, we'll create more jobs and business opportunities, especially for women and the youth. We will propel Africa towards a better future. This is the key goal and new focus behind the work of UNWTO in Africa and what drives us to host Investour every year. Yesterday we had a very interesting meeting, as I mentioned, with ministers and again, minister from Kenya, he initiatives, and I fully agree. That might be another very interesting and good idea to have twice Investour per year, and one of them to organize in Africa, because that's give us to promote continent better, that's give us to show companies, people, opportunities in Africa, and I think it's a very good idea and good initiative, and we fully support your initiative, dear Minister. We try to focus and concentrate the needs, as I mentioned, of continent. This afternoon we will make a presentation where we need your active participation and leadership. We will discuss together how we can together develop, first of all, promotion of Africa and branding of African continent, And I think we will have a very interesting discussion. We wanted to make this presentation here, but as it's Investour and it's a little bit out of the specific issues which will be discussed on this event, we thought that it will be more interesting and mostly informal meeting during our lunch, and let's discuss it together. The idea is to finalize the document and to agree priorities and to approve them. I mean, before Commission, we have 3 or 4 months to approve this document, and it's not will be hundreds of pages. This will be very short, very concrete, and very result-oriented document. We will discuss it later. To discuss again in Berlin on the basis of your ideas, your needs, and after that, I think in Nigeria we can finally approve, and after that act together to develop tourism better on the continent. I would like to finish by thanking again all our sponsors, all our partners, again to you, all of you who join us today, and I wish you all a very good meeting, very good and resultive tour, and thank you again to be with us. Thank you very much.